Ever felt a song slam into your senses like a thunderbolt, igniting every rebellious fiber in your being? That's the ferocious magic of Steppenwolf's Born to be Wild, a timeless howl that's fueled countless acts of defiance, from epic journeys to outright mayhem. But brace yourself, because this rock powerhouse wasn't hatched in a den of outlaws. It sprang from a stormy escapade in a run-down Ford, and it unwittingly birthed a whole genre while most of the band schemed from the unassuming north of Canada. We're diving deep into the chaos, the laughs, and the little-known lunacy behind this rock and roll monster. Buckle up, or don't, because we're born to be wild after all. Let's rewind to the spark that ignited this wildfire. Back in the mid-60s, a guy named Dennis Edmonton, better known as Mars Bonfire, because why not name yourself after a candy bar on fire, was just trying to survive LA traffic in his first car, a beat-up Ford Falcon that probably wheezed more than it roared. Imagine it. A storm hits, rain hammering the roof like a deranged percussionist, thunder cracking overhead with the force of 1,000 amps short-circuiting. Dennis, soaked and exhilarated, scribbles down lines about getting your motor running and heading out on the highway, looking for adventure in whatever comes his way. But here's the twist. This wasn't some leather-jacketed ode to Harleys. It was a ballad about shaking off the mundane, embracing the raw thrill of the open road, no matter how crappy your ride. Get your motor running. That's not just revving an engine, it's kickstarting your soul, firing up that inner rebel who's tired of the 9-to-5 grind. And head out on the highway? Pure escapism, ditching the rat race for the unknown, where every mile marker is a middle finger to conformity. Now Mars wasn't even in Steppenwolf. He was the brother of their drummer, Jerry Edmonton, which makes this a family affair gone rogue. What if Jerry had said, "Nah bro, stick to ballads about minivans"? We'd be singing about grocery runs instead of thunder. But no, Mars hands over this gem, and the band turns it into a snarling beast. Enter that killer line, heavy metal thunder. Oh man, this is where it gets juicy. Mars meant the rumbling growl of engines, or maybe that storm's fury, crashing like metallic gods in a mosh pit. But unwittingly, he coins heavy metal in lyrics for the first time ever, planting the seed for a genre that would later spawn headbangers, devil horns, and enough black t-shirts to eclipse the sun. Before this, heavy metal might have referred to your uncle's coin collection or a bad case of lead poisoning. Pun intended. It was the thunderclap that metalheads have been banging their heads to ever since. And the chorus, "We were born to be wild." That's the primal scream of freedom, saying we're all wired for chaos, climbing high without ever coming down, unless gravity or a speeding ticket intervenes. What if Mars had written Born to be Mild? We'd have an anthem for tea parties and sensible shoes. Dodged a bullet there. Fast forward to the album Shenanigans, because nothing says rock and roll like a band reinventing itself in the land of sunshine and smog. Steppenwolf started as the Sparrows, a scrappy outfit from Toronto, yes, Canada, home of maple syrup, hockey, and apparently world-conquering rockers. 4 Canadians and 1 American, led by the gravel-voiced John Kay, who was born in East Germany and escaped the Iron Curtain as a kid, dodging more drama than a soap opera villain. They flocked to LA, renamed themselves after Hermann Hesse's novel Steppenwolf, a book about a guy torn between civilization and his wild side, which is basically every rocker's memoir in a nutshell. Their debut album drops in '68, self-titled because why overthink it? Born to be Wild is track 3, sandwiched between other hits like The Pusher, but it's this one that howls loudest. Recording? Pure grit. The band rocks up Mars's ballad, cranking the distortion, and letting 18-year-old guitarist Michael Monarch unleash a solo that's all snarls and swagger, capturing that carefree spirit like lightning in a bottle. Shenanigans ensue, underground FM stations latch on, spinning it non-stop, and the single climbs to number 2 on the charts, right behind The Doors. Hello, I Love You. But here's a quirky bit. John Kay later admitted the band was so broke, they probably recorded it on equipment held together with duct tape and dreams. What if they'd stuck with the sparrows? We'd have a bird-themed band warbling about worms instead of wolves howling at the moon. As it was, the release was a howl in the dark, but one that echoed far. Amid Vietnam protests and cultural upheaval, this song whispered, or rather screamed, "Screw the system, hit the road." And speaking of roads, like a true nature's child, that's nodding to embracing the wild world. Fireworks exploding in the sky as metaphors for life's bursts of joy, or maybe just a nod to the era's ahem, herbal inspirations. Either way, it's urging you to fire all your guns at once, metaphorically exploding into the wild blue yonder. But oh, the rise to mythic status. That's where the rubber really meets the road, and I mean that literally. Enter 1969's Easy Rider, the film that turned counterculture into celluloid gold. Dennis Hopper, Peter Fonda and Jack Nicholson tooling around on choppers, searching for America and finding mostly trouble. Hopper picks Born to Be Wild for the opening credits, syncing those revving engines with the song's pulse-pounding riff. Suddenly, a tune about a Ford Falcon becomes the eternal biker hymn, blasting from every Hells Angels rally and leather vest convention. But wait, cliffhanger alert. The lyrics don't even mention motorcycles. It's all inference, baby, like assuming every wolf howls at the moon just because it looks dramatic. The film catapults it to icon status, selling 1 million copies and embedding it in pop culture's DNA. Satirical swipe. Imagine if Hopper had chosen Yellow Submarine instead. We'd have bikers in submarines, which sounds like a bad acid trip even for the 60s. The band's own wild ride? They tour relentlessly, dodging groupies and bad decisions, but internal drama brews, lineup changes, egos clashing like cymbals in a hurricane. John Kay keeps it real, growling through shades that hide his partial blindness, turning vulnerability into venom. And that heavy metal thunder? It ripples out, inspiring bands like Black Sabbath to crank the volume, birthing heavy metal as we know it. What if Steppenwolf had patented the phrase? They'd own half the music industry, from Metallica to your neighbor's garage band. Instead, it becomes a cultural touchstone, symbolizing rebellion during assassinations, wars, and the death of flower power. Funny aside, in a world where wild means scrolling TikTok in pajamas, this song reminds us to actually get out there, unless your idea of adventure is fighting autoplay. Now, the legacy and lasting weirdness. Buckle up, because this wolf's howl echoes eternally. Born to Be Wild wins awards like the SOCAN Cultural Impact Trophy in 2015, proving it's more than a one-hit wonder. It's a shapeshifter. Covers galore, from Slade to INXS, even cartoon animals in Madagascar belting it out while escaping zoos. Obscure trivia alert, it's been blasted in space simulations, animal docs, and yes, actual biker funerals. Talk about going out with a bang. Ripple effects? It defines freedom in a turbulent era, inspiring generations to chase horizons, whether on hogs or hybrids. Weirdness peaks. The song's Canadian roots make it an undercover agent in American rock lore, like a moose in eagle's clothing. And fire all of your guns at once? Not literal firepower, but unleashing your potential, exploding into space like a rock and roll supernova. Satirical jab. In today's world, that might mean rage tweeting, but back then, it was pure, unfiltered liberation. What if Mars had written it about electric scooters? We'd have eco-warriors zipping silently, no thunder required, boring. So, as we wrap this wild ride, remember, Born to Be Wild isn't just a song, it's a manifesto for the misfits, the dreamers, and anyone who's ever felt the pull of the pavement. Next time it comes on, crank it up, channel your inner wolf and howl along, because we're all born for a little chaos. If this got your motor running, smash that like button. Subscribe for more rock revelations that'll make you laugh, think, and maybe even dust off your old air guitar. Share your wildest road story in the comments. Who knows, it might inspire the next anthem. Until next time, keep it wild, keep it real, and never ever tame that thunder. Peace out, or should I say rev out?